Hello everyone, my name is Gianmarco and today I'm going to present a solution for the Acme Gym Equipment and Training project. This is the agenda for today and I'm going to start with the project overview. Acme Gym Equipment and Training, or AGIT, has been on market for 55 years. AGIT is a company pioneer in selling gym equipment in USA, Canada, UK, Germany, France, China, and India. They sell equipment to corporate, reseller, and home users directly. In the last 5 years, they have also started providing live personal coaching to corporate and home users with different types of classes like muscle training, mindfulness, yoga, etc. And they keep adding different types of training into their portfolio. Their business model is both B2B as they work with corporate customers, B2B2C as they work with resellers, and also B2C as they work with direct customers. Some pain points of this company are that they have challenges maintaining the existing systems. There are performance issues with the systems, and they also don't have a complete view of customers, and they need to maintain multiple different technologies. The goal of this project is to solve the existing pain points, and Salesforce has been selected to replace these existing systems. Some strategies and risks for this project are that as this company operates in multiple countries, we are going to need to have multi-language capabilities enabled. So we are going to rely on Salesforce Translation Workbench for this. We are going to also create custom labels, email templates, and enable the community language in the Salesforce community and make the language selector picker available on there. We are going to also need to operate with multiple currencies. So we are going to need to enable the multi-currency setting in Salesforce. For the org strategy, I'm proposing to go with a single org strategy. This will help them to unify the existing processes across these different countries. I didn't find any legal requirement that can generate a different decision for the org strategy. For the community strategy, I'm expecting to have Salesforce Experience Cloud. We are going to have one community for customers, one community for resellers, and one community for trainers. I'm also expecting to keep the existing web that it's available. And on that web, we are going to see in a moment that there will be some features that will remain on there. For the mobile strategy, I'm expecting to have the Salesforce app for internal users, and for external users, the access to the community will be via the mobile publisher app. For the document strategy, I'm expecting to have Amazon S3 buckets to store the files that will be generated mainly by the ERP system related to invoices and expose them back into Salesforce via mashup integration. We are going to review those details later on this presentation. Some risks for this project are related to large data volumes. So if we review the amount of information that will be generated, currently there are 3 million corporate customers, 8 million direct customers, and also 300,000 resellers. There is an expected growth of 50% every year. So the amount of customers that we have will generate that cases, opportunities, and related data will contain large data volumes. For example, for cases, we are going to have on the first year 6 million records created. And for opportunities, we are going to have approximately 8 million records created per year. So because of these large data volumes, the mitigation that I'm proposing for this is to have, first of all, indexed fields that will be used and also created if needed. However, because of the amount of data, I'm expecting to have an archiving process where the data can be moved to a different platform that will act as a data warehouse. We're going to see in a moment that I'm introducing Heroku for that purpose. And then any kind of reporting, or if we need to expose the data back in Salesforce, that will be achieved by using Salesforce Connect to Heroku and expose the data as external objects. I'm not proposing to use skinny tables or other kind of mechanism on here, as I'm expecting to get access to the data by using CRM analytics for this purpose. We are going to see more details also in a moment. The other risk is that currently there is an India team that has knowledge of Java. However, they don't have knowledge of Salesforce. So for that, the mitigation will be to work with a partner, include the India team as part of the COE, and we are going to also see more details about this during the governance section of this presentation. There are also multiple dependencies that will be between different systems and teams, implementation teams for this project. So having a governance process in place and PMO involved will help with mapping these dependencies. Also, there is an existing Salesforce Germany org, which is currently working on Classic, and that has multiple customizations, especially via Apex. So as this is a high risk, as we don't understand currently what is all these customizations that are involved on the existing org, my recommendation is to go with a greenfield org for this project. And we can also coordinate with the Salesforce AE in case we need to reallocate the licenses from this existing org. Some assumptions that I'm making for this project is that there will be a preference of buy versus build, as we have multiple dependencies and requirements on this project. And also the time that we have to deliver the project is short. Having a preference of buy a product will allow us to have a faster time to market, and also it will help the company with having a reduced total cost of ownership in the future. I'm also expecting that all the licenses that will be required for this project will be procured in advance, as we have multiple dependencies. So these different licenses can be ready for the start of the project. Now I'm going to move into the personas and licenses section. Some personas are the equipment sales specialists, or ESS. They're going to have a Sales Cloud license assigned to them, as they are going to mainly work with account, products information, opportunities via deals, and also guide the customers related to gym equipments that are very suited for them. They are going to work also with resellers, and these users are tied to a specific location. Other users that will receive the Sales Cloud license are the sales manager, the regional manager, and the product manager, as they are going to need to have access to sales objects like products, opportunities, or customer data. For the service representatives, I'm proposing to have a Service Cloud license. They are going to work mainly around cases. They're going to be responsible for customer service and handling questions from customer or resellers. And as they are going to work via email, phone, or chat, I'm expecting to have Service Cloud features enabled for them, like a live agent, and I'm also expecting to use omni-channel for them. For the external users, we have the resellers. They are going to have access to products and deals. That's why I'm proposing to have a partner license assigned to them via name license model. They are also going to have a primary reseller user that will be able to create other users for them. So that specific user will receive the super user access. For the logistic fleet, they are going to have Community Plus license. They are going to have access to cases and customer data. For the corporate customers, they are going to have a Customer Community Plus license. I don't expect them to log in frequently, so they can have a per login based model for the license. They're also going to need the super user access, as there will be one person from the corporate that will be able to create related contacts for them. Then the trainers will have the Community Plus license. They are going to work from office or virtually, and they will be training candidates. They will need to get access to multiple information depending on the customers that are that have signed for a specific course. So that's why we are going to rely on advanced sharing capabilities, and that's the reason why I'm selecting a Customer Community Plus license for them. And for the customers, they are going to be household customers. I'm expecting that only the customer itself will, and a specific person will get access to the community based on a specific purchase. So I'm expecting to have the community license assigned to them. And as I'm expecting also that they will not log in frequently, the per login license model will be enough in this case. For the role hierarchy, we are going to have the CEO on top. Then we are going to have SVPs per countries. The regional sales manager will be reporting to the SVPs. Under them, we are going to have the sales managers, and under them, we are going to have the equipment sales specialist. There will be cases where the sales managers don't have an equipment sales specialist under them. So the reseller, the logistic fleet, and the trainer external users that will be created can be reporting to the ESS or to the SM. Then at the same level of the regional sales manager, we are going to have the regional service manager with the service reps reporting to this person. And the product line managers will have the sales managers under them, as it is mentioned that some sales managers are reporting directly to the product managers. Now I'm going to move into the system landscape. As we can see on the system landscape, we have Salesforce in the middle. We are going to be using Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, and Experience Cloud. Actually, I didn't include Experience Cloud on here, so let me correct that part. Then I'm also expecting to have CPQ, as there is an existing system that will be decommissioned. This system is the Acme product system that has a product engine. So we are going to replace it with CPQ. There are also a support system that is civil that will be replaced by Service Cloud, but this civil system also have a telephony system in place. This telephony system does not support any App Exchange package connector. So because of that, I'm proposing to replace the telephony system with Service Cloud Voice. We are going to also need Lightning Scheduler. Lightning Scheduler will allow us to let the customers to apply for a specific course or to reserve a specific virtual meetings with the trainers. Then, as we are going to be generating documents for the processes, like for example, agreements or contracts, we are going to rely on an App Exchange product called Convia Composer to create those templates. And then, as we are going to need capabilities to send the documents and capture e-signatures, we are going to be using DocuSign for that purpose. There is also a requirement where we are going to need to send surveys to the customers to get their satisfaction about the specific product. So Salesforce survey will be used for that purpose. As I mentioned previously, we are going to be dealing with large data volumes, so the data will be archived into Heroku Postgres database. This database will act as a data warehouse, and then any kind of reporting will happen at this level. And I'm also including CRM analytics as part of the landscape, as we are going to be reporting on data from Heroku, Salesforce, or other system by using CRM analytics as the BA tool. I'm keeping the existing public website. We are going to be creating leads for prospective resellers or customers. So for that purpose, I'm expecting to have for assembly and embed it within the public website. And then Forum Assembly will be in charge of connecting to the Salesforce APIs to be creating leads. Then we are going to also have Salesforce Mobile for allowing the internal users to log in into Salesforce via mobile, and the mobile publisher app for accessing the Experience Cloud communities with a branded app. So I'm expecting to use a user agent flow for that purpose. As we are having systems that will be decommissioned, these systems will have data that needs to be migrated. So I'm introducing an ETL for that purpose that will be Talent. Talent will be in charge of connecting to these different source systems in order to extract the data, transform the data, cleanse the data if it's possible, and then move the data into Salesforce. As we are going to have other systems that will require near real-time integrations, we are going to have MuleSoft as a middleware in place, and MuleSoft will be in charge of connecting to the ERP systems. There are 3 ERP systems based on each region, so all orchestrations will happen in MuleSoft. As we are only decommission the customer master data from these ERP systems, however, the order management processes and invoice processes will remain on the ERP. The Acme payment and Acme training tracker systems will remain in place, and MuleSoft will be in charge of connecting to the systems. For the Acme health tracker, this is a Java application, and there is a concern with the scalability of this system as the company is growing. So my recommendation is to move this existing Java application into Heroku. Heroku it's a platform as a service, so it can scale better. And we are going to move this application into Heroku, and also MuleSoft will be in charge of connecting to the application. Currently, there are multiple identity stores that are managed by Acme Gym Equipment Company. These are based on Active Directory, LDAP, and also homegrown identity stores. So my proposal in this case is to use an identity provider called Okta. Okta will have the capabilities to look up for an identity into multiple identity stores. It has also capabilities to provision and deprovision of users We are going to also have an Okta portal that can be used to reset passwords. And by doing that, we are going to release the work of the users of resetting password manually. And also Okta has its own identity store, which can be used in case we want to create identities for external users. There is also a requirement to allow the customers to log into Salesforce by using their social platform credentials, especially around Twitter, Facebook, and Google accounts. So for that purpose, I'm expecting to have social single sign-in implemented. We are going to have authentication providers for each of these platforms, and as we are going to need to provision the users via SSO, single social SSO, then we are going to need to also rely on a custom registration class for that purpose. Now I'm going to move into the data model section. However, in order to explain the data model, I would like to do it through the business requirements. So for the business requirement, we have 5: the reseller onboarding process, the sales process, the customer onboarding process, the payment and order process, and the training, enrollment, and tracking process. We are going to start with the reseller onboarding process. So as I mentioned previously, we are going to keep the existing web, a public web, and I'm expecting to use form assembly for that purpose. So the lead for resellers that are applying to the company will be created via form assembly by using an API call. Then, as there are multiple fields that are available on the form, those are about 100 fields, there needs to be a way for the resellers to resume their application and also to have a period of time that can be configured. Those are capabilities of form assembly, and that's the reason why I'm going with this option instead of going with web to lead. Also, once the lead is created, we're going to need to assign it to a sales manager. So I'm going to create queues per location where we are going to have the sales managers assigned to that location, and then rely on a lead assignment rule to assign the record to the corresponding queue. And then in order to assign that request, that lead to a specific user based on their availability, we're going to use omnichannel capacity base for assignment. Then I'm expecting that the sales managers will track the conversations via activities on the lead object. Then there will be a moment where the lead will be converted into an account, contact, and opportunity. And at this moment, if the sales manager needs help, they are going to be adding the equipment sales specialist or ESS as opportunity team members to help with speeding up the application approval. I'm also expecting to have a live agent script configured on the public website, so we can allow the resellers to chat and ask inquiries about their applications. So we are going to have a custom field lookup to the opportunity on the chat transcript object. So at the moment that the chat is received and associated to the reseller account, the sales manager will be able to look up to the corresponding opportunity that represents the application and associate that chat to there. Then we are going to have on the opportunity, the stage standard field, where we are going to store the different stages like investing financial requirement, background verification, internal audit, etc. And in order to show it visually to the users, we are going to have the opportunity enabled on there, the opportunity path enabled in there. Then we are going to have an approval process based on the reseller financial situation, which is a custom field. And this approval process will be approved by the regional manager. It's the person that the sales manager is reporting to, as we saw in the role hierarchy. The primary contact of the reseller will be the standard lookup field to the contact record on the opportunity. So we are going to have a Conga composer to generate the agreement document. And then I'm expecting to have DocuSign to send this agreement to capture the signature of this primary contact. Then once the signature is captured, DocuSign will read that event, and there will be a configuration to map the fields that will be updated on the corresponding contract record. And then we are going to have a contract trigger flow that will be provisioning the user by using an async path. And the reason for the async path is that we are going to need to prevent DML exceptions as DML mix exceptions, as we are going to be working both with the contract as part of the transaction, but also creating the user, which is a different type of object. Then the primary contact that will be created on the reseller side will require to create other contacts and give them access to the community. So we are going to need to have the super user access permission assigned to them and also the delegate external user permission. With that, we just finished with the onboarding of the reseller process. And then I'm going to move to the sales process. So we are going to use Okta Identity Provider for the Acme Training Tracker application. So that means that as part of this provisioning of the users, we are going to also need to have an integration. This integration will be from Salesforce to the Acme Training Tracker application. And the purpose is to create the user record, to provision the user. So at the moment that the reseller tries to log in for the first time to the Acme Training Tracker, they are going to be prompted by Okta to register and create their credentials, and then Okta will give access to the application. And as part of the single sign-on process, I'm assuming that on the Acme Training Tracker system, there will be a process to match this federation identifier that was created, I guess, based on the email provided by the reseller, back to the information that we sent from Salesforce during the integration number 1. Then these resellers will need to complete their training on this Acme Training Tracker application. So in order to allow them to log in into Salesforce, we are going to have a Lightning login flow that will ask them to complete their training first in order to get access to Salesforce. So there will be a custom field on the training on the account record associated to these resellers, or the contact record associated to those resellers, that will verify if the training has been completed or not. For that purpose, we are going to have our second integration, which is from the Acme Training Tracker back to Salesforce. The pattern of this integration is a remote calling pattern, and the purpose is that the data of the training status that is generated by that platform will be sent on a near real-time basis back into Salesforce. By doing that, as soon as they finish the training, the Lightning login flow will not pop up again, and they're going to get access to the community. I'm also expecting to have CPQ permission added to partners to allow them to create quotes, as it is mentioned that there are multiple configurations that can be applied to these gym equipments. Also, the discounts will be managed on CPQ, as this is part of the capabilities that CPQ offer. Then the quotes will be sent as PDF, can be downloaded as PDF versions and sent via email. So I'm expecting also to use the Conga quote generation feature to create the document from the CPQ quote, and then the users will be able to send that via email. They are going to need to also add custom terms and conditions in the quote. So this is also a capability that Conga Composer support. Then CPQ will also be used to configure an extra 5% depending on the payment term configuration that was selected. The payment term configuration can be selected at the quote level. And then during the order creation, these payment terms will be moved into there. Now I'm going to move into the customer onboarding process. We mentioned that they are going to use social single sign-on. We already reviewed that. As they are going to be prompt and notify about what kind of data will be collected from them, we're going to need to use the consent management model from Salesforce. So there will be an individual record associated to the contact and multiple form authorization forms that are part of this set of objects available on the package. As we are going to need to prompt them on the community once they log in, I'm expecting to use an App Exchange package provided by Salesforce Labs, which is called Cookie Consent. I didn't include it on the system landscape, so let me change it quickly. Cookie consent package will help us to capture or to let them know about the data that will be collected by them, accept those terms, and then it has also the capabilities to write it directly to the consent management objects. Then the visibility of the products will be private. I'm going to be sharing the price books with customers, as we have multiple products that will be available, and some of them are only for resellers and others are available for customers. Via the price book is where I'm expecting to expose these products only to the customers. And then I'm expecting to allow the customers to search for products. So for that, I'm expecting to have a screen flow. And also as part of the screens, I'm expecting to have a Lightning Web component that will rely on an Apex controller to bring all the products available for a customer. And as there is also a requirement to search for the resellers that are near them on the map, I'm expecting to have a SQL query based on distance to display the resellers near to them on the map. Then I'm expecting to use the same Lightning Web component to select one or more resellers showing on the component. And then once they continue with the process, we are going to have behind the scenes an Apex automation that will create one opportunity per each of the resellers associated. So by the customer, so they can all propose it, they can negotiate with the customer based on the opportunities assigned to them. The Apex class will be an Apex invocable method, so the flow can communicate to the Apex class. And also, as a recommendation, as a good practice, I'm expecting to create the status for these multiple opportunities that are generated that can exclude the opportunities from the forecasting and only keep the opportunity that was selected by the customer as part of this, to include them on the forecasting, just to make sure that we are not duplicating, triplicating, or multiplying the amounts that are generated on these multiple opportunities. The conversations will be tracked against activities. However, if the customer needs to communicate directly via the community, they can do it via chatter. So we are going to have chatter enabled on the code records, on the code object. Once the opportunity is selected, this opportunity will be closed. There will be an automation to close all the other opportunities. The other opportunities will be discarded. A contract will be created at this moment, and we are going to create an agreement by using Conga Composer again. And we are going to have an automation via trigger flow that will submit the contract to approval process for the sales manager. And then once the sales manager approves it, we are going to have a trigger flow also on the contract object to send the agreement via DocuSign to be signed online by the customer. Then, as we mentioned previously, with DocuSign, we are going to be able to mark the fields that will be updated back in the contract. A trigger flow will be waiting for that event to happen on the contract and will provision the customer users on the portal. Same as previously, we're going to have an async path to prevent mixed YAML exceptions. And then we are going to have the integration number 3, where the fitness tracker data will be exposed as external objects. So this will be a virtual integration pattern, and the purpose is to get the fitness tracker history for a month, to allow the customers to see the fitness tracker history for a month. I'm not expecting to replicate the data back into Salesforce, as this will contain also large amounts of data. So the best way to do it is by exposing the data virtually. Then we have the payment and order process. For the payment and order process, we are going to have, once all the agreements are signed by all the parties, the customer and the other parties, then as we are capturing the event with DocuSign, we are going to have a flow with trigger flow with an Apex invocable action to also send an integration number 4 to the ERP system and the Acme payment system. And the purpose is to generate the invoice, but also I'm expecting that the payment system will have the capabilities to generate a link to allow the customers to pay for the invoice. So the Acme payment system will send an email with a link that will redirect the customer to the community portal. and it will have a payment ID as part of the URL. So the portal will show the customer the corresponding payment form and relate that payment form back to the invoice that was generated previously. As we review on here, I'm expecting to have I guess at least these external objects coming from the Acme payment system, which is a payment configuration object where the information related to if it's a unique payment or if the payment will be split into multiple payments, that information will remain on here. Also, the information related to the card provided by the customer and the billing information that will be associated to it. And there will be payment requests created as part of this configuration. These payment requests are the links that will be sent by this payment system, and then the actual payment executed by the customer will be created as an Acme payment transaction. So these will be external objects associated to the order, and also the invoices generated by the ERP system will be shown back as an external object at the order level. There will be external lookups from these objects back to the order. Then the payment event will be captured as we are going to have the form from the Acme payment system embed within the community. That's why we have our Canvas integration to allow the payment of orders in Salesforce. We are going to be able to use the Canvas to capture that event once the payment has been finished. And then when we capture that event, we are going to send that information to the Salesforce server where our integration number 6 will be fired. That integration will send the, will ask the ERP to create the order. And once the order is created, we are going to allow the logistic team to ship the gym equipment, and also the work order will be assigned to the logistic team queue. Then we are going to have our integration number 7 that will be used to get shipment status. I'm expecting all shipment processes to happen on the ERP. So we are going to have a custom action on the order record that will call a flow and also an Apex invocable action. And this Apex invocable action that it's marked as a call out true will be in charge of getting the updates from the shipping status from the ERP system. Then as we are going to also need that when the customer receives the shipment that the Salesforce order gets updated, then we are going to have our integration number 8, which is from the ERP back into Salesforce. That is a remote calling pattern, and that will be in charge of updating the order status based on the ERP events that happen when they receive the shipment. I'm also expecting to have Service Cloud Voice and Live Agent, as I mentioned previously, to support communications about the equipment installation. So that those cases, those inquiries will be tracked as cases in Salesforce. Then I'm going to have the payment information to be stored on the Acme payment system, and this information will be exposed via the Canvas integration and also the external objects that we have on here. With that, I'm moving into the training enrollment and training process. The customers can view and access their training sessions via the community using Lightning Scheduler. So Lightning Scheduler will allow us to have all the spaces that are available for the trainer, so they can reserve a new date with them, or if there is an existing class that has been added by the trainers, they can apply for those existing classes. Then we are going to need to enable the multiple attendant feature, so multiple customers can apply for a specific service appointment exposed by the trainers. I also need to enable a feature to sync the service appointments to as event calendars and also to relate them to multiple attendants. So for that purpose, I'm assuming that this is a capability of Lightning Scheduler, and then those events will be sent to the email boxes of the customers, and they can save them directly to their calendar. We are going to also need to have our integration number 9 from the fitness tracker history to Salesforce. And the purpose is to enroll them on a service appointment or training class. And then I'm expecting also to have a Lightning Web component with the dashboard to display the customers enrolled on a session. So the fitness data from the fitness tracker will be displayed by using a Canvas integration. As we are moving the fitness tracker application into Heroku, we are going to expose this information by using a Canvas integration as well. Finally, with this, we just finished with the business process requirements, and I'm going to move into the accessibility and visibility requirements. I'm expecting to have the sales managers as the owner of the resellers. So the sales managers will be on the reseller records for leads, accounts, contacts, and opportunities, as well as quotes and orders. And then the equipment sales specialist will be added as an opportunity team member. I'm expecting to use field level visibility on account to control the information that the trainers have access to. Then the fitness information will be exposed as an external object coming from the fitness tracker application. I'm going to also have a Lightning Web component to control the visibility on a specific session record or appointment. So the trainers will be able to see the specific fitness information and customer information only if they have applied for that specific session that they are giving. So a Lightning Web component will be used to control that specific visibility. Then the visibility of deals for the sales managers and their managers will be based on a role hierarchy. As we reviewed previously, the sales managers and the regional sales managers are under the same role hierarchy. The product managers, as they need to get access to the deals where products that they are managing are involved, I'm expecting to be adding the product managers as an opportunity team members based on the opportunity products that are created. And for that purpose, we can use a trigger flow on the opportunity product object to allow the equipment sales specialists to log in only within their corporate network. We are going to rely on IP ranges on their profile for that purpose. Then I'm expecting to use field level security for the customer profile in order to allow them to view and edit only basic personal information. And finally, we are going to have the support reps as the owner of cases. And then the sales managers will have a role that inherits the visibility of cases as they own the accounts. So the sales managers, as owners of the accounts, will get access to all the related cases for their accounts. For the data migration requirements, we are going to have Heroku Postgres that will be used to archive all the case information. So historical data will be moved by the ATL directly into Heroku, and I'm proposing to move only newest created records or in-progress records back into Salesforce. Then we are going to have also Heroku Postgres for all training and equipment or parts from years ago or historical information, as this will contain large data volumes. As there will be users that no longer work with the company, we can migrate them into Salesforce as inactive users. And then for historical data, we're going to have Heroku. The custom object for field history will be created in Heroku, and all the data will be stored on there. So regarding field history, that's a system object that we cannot access directly. That's why I'm proposing to store the data into Heroku, and I'm also expecting that object to have large data volumes. So if we need to expose that information into Salesforce for a purpose, we can use Salesforce Connect for that. And if we need to expose it as part of audit or via report, we can use CRM Analytics for that purpose. Salesforce will be the source of truth for customers, as this will be also the system of record and customer information will be managed on there. And in order to make sure that the other systems are aware of changes happening on the master system, in Salesforce, we are going to have the data to be synced via change data capture, and then MuleSoft can be the only subscriber to these change data capture events, and then expose that information also as part of a topic or of a queue or messaging system back to the other systems that want to be the subscribers. And also, as we mentioned previously, we are going to have a process to archive the opportunities. As we didn't get into the details of how the opportunities or other objects will be archived, we have Heroku Connect that have a bidirectional connection with Salesforce. So all the records created in Salesforce will be synced back to Heroku Postgres tables that are created automatically as part of the connector. And we can rely on the ETL talent to create a job that will go through the tables created in Heroku Postgres and move them into similar tables that will be used for archiving processes. Once the process finishes successfully, the talent ETL job will be in charge of deleting the records from Heroku. And as the connector has a bidirectional connection with Salesforce, then all the changes all the records that were deleted on here will be also deleted from Salesforce. Now I'm going to move into the reporting requirements. I'm expecting to use CRM-A for most of the reports, as most of them rely on large data volumes. However, we have some requirements where, for example, the business years will be configured as fiscal year configuration in Salesforce. Also, as we're going to need to set and track quotas against the sales managers and their team, we can enable that as with forecasting and quotas in Salesforce. And then we're going to need to modify the forecast hierarchy to configure the specific sales manager and the team that reports to them. And then the reports can go through the current year and summarize it by quota, as the current year will represent the fiscal year. Then for the customers to see the invoices and payments, I don't expect to have a report for that purpose, and we can have a table that is exposed via Lightning Web Component and using the existing interface via Salesforce Connect to retrieve that information from the ERP and the Acme system. Then Acme payment system. Then we are going to have also, we can have a summary report on case group by user and age field to show the cases that were resolved on time or that were resolved on the first call. However, as cases are also large data volume objects, then probably the data for the last 2 years, no, not probably, the data for the last 2 years will be archived into Heroku, and also on CRM analytics, we can report on that data by using the same logic. As we are going to need to allow the regional managers to supervise their users, omnichannel supervisor will be used for that purpose, and also it will allow them to monitor the conversation between the agents and the customers, and also reassign the cases if needed. For getting the feedback from customers about the products that they are getting, we are going to use Salesforce Service, as mentioned previously. From the project and development requirements, we have apologies. We are going to have the existing payment system that will be used to be PCI compliant. GDPR will be used in Salesforce, so we can have also Salesforce Shield in case we need to store the data securely by encrypting it at rest, and also to monitor all the events that are generated via event monitoring. Then the development team in China will need to be part of the COE for this project. So the project governance structure that I'm proposing to have is the executives be working as part of an executive steering committee. Everything like, for example, important milestones, budget that needs to be allocated, the vision of the company, and also the project will be created on here. They are going to be collaborating with the team of enterprise architects to make sure that the vision and the requirements that they have can be implemented. I'm expecting to have PMO office where they are going to be in charge of multiple initiatives and projects that will be happening. One of these projects will be the Salesforce project, where we are going to implement it as a COE. And the COE will be composed by a business team and a technical team. They are going to work together in order to get this project really successfully. So the India team will need to be part of the technical team, and the recommendation is to include a partner that have the knowledge to implement this project. And then the China team can learn from their experience. They are going to be assigned at the beginning to only declarative tasks, but as soon as they are learning more and more, they can be assigned to more complex requirements. At some moment, they can start relying on their internal team. As there are one instance for dev and QA, I'm proposing to have the developers to work with mock services, and then we are going to have the QA environment from Salesforce communicating with the QA environment from the external systems, with the dev environment, and the UAT environment communicating with the QA environment from the other systems. For the DevOps process, or for the overall methodology for the project, we are going to have an agile methodology. I'm recommending also to have an initial phase for design and architecture purposes. And then after that, the implementation phase will be working with an agile methodology. We are going to be having multiple sandboxes where we are going to move the changes into by using Copado automation tool. Copados have multiple capabilities, so it will allow us to version the code by connecting to GitHub to store all the changes. In case of peer reviews or approval processes that needs to be applied when someone submit a change, that can be also implemented via Copado. Then Copado have capabilities to have automated testing and also code validation embed within the process. If everything goes, if everything passes, Copado will be in charge of deploying the changes to the next environments. We are going to have an integration environment created as a developer pro environment that will be used to make sure that there are no conflicts between the changes created in the different environments. Then we are going to deploy the changes to the QA environment where the QA team will be performing different kinds of testings. Once the QA phase finishes, we are going to have a phase on UAT where not only the QA team, but also the business users will be testing the new features that will be released. And then we are going to get signed off at this moment, and then Copado will be in charge of deploying the changes to production. In order to reduce the errors that are generated that were fixed already, I'm recommending to also include the automated testing from Copado for the more critical business scenarios. And then in case of bugs in production, we are going to be creating hotfix sandboxes that are also Dev Pro on as a needed basis. And the changes from this hotfix environment will also be deployed from Copado, but directly into production. And Copado will have the capabilities to review the differences between environments and promote those changes down back to the other environments. With that, I just finished with my presentation, and now we can move into the question and answer section. Thank you.